Hey, guys, let's get into it. Now, you guys had asked me to read the book. I had not read the book. I am on page 50. I should have this book read by tomorrow. Now, the book that I'm referring to is the book that Jackie's daughter Takari wrote. And I thought it was important for me to read it because although I heard about some of the things that her daughter stated, I really never read it. Now, let's kind of preface this. The daughter has stated that her and Jackie are on a great path. They're going through healing. But it was important for me to read the book to kind of get a good understanding of what has happened. Now, what I can confirm is Chantel's story is a lie. Okay. In fact, in Takari's book, she cited the exact words that Chantel stated on the episode. Chantel referred to her mother's relationship between her as like a toxic relationship between a male and a female. Guess what, y'all? That is the exact words that that Takari used in her book. Now, why would Chantel be using the exact words to describe a relationship that she claims she's having with her mother when her sister has already stated that in her book? So let's get into who these two really are, y'all.
She don't miss nothing, got the stuff on lock. Spilling all the tea while it's still too hot. Lakeysha Keysha, queen of the plot. Hit that bell, cause the tea
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Y'all, let's get into it. What I'm going to do later on tonight is I'm going to go live and I'm going to let it read the book to y'all. We're not going to do the whole book, but we'll at least do the forward. Then tomorrow we'll go into chapter 1. It is a lot of information. Now, let me make sure you guys understand. We are not condoning anything that Chantel did. So that is not what this is about. This is simply about to get an understanding of some information that I did not have prior to. Keep in mind, when I am talking about the actual show, we are simply talking about what happened in the episodes. Okay, that's all we're talking about. What happened in the episode. But here, what we are getting into is what Takari put in her book. Okay, and a lot of y'all had said that it seemed like Chantel was using her sister's story, and I'm going to be honest, that is exactly what she's doing. Again, I'm not saying she didn't have anything toxic that happened between her and her mother, but the fact of the matter is, and again, we'll go live later on and we're going to read the forward, and then tomorrow we'll go into the first chapter of the book. Now, what Takari basically stated in the forward of the book, that's like, the first part of the book. She came out and wanted to tell her story based on how she was portrayed on the show. Now, if you guys recall, when they talked about Jackie and her daughter situation, that was like a big high for the show, meaning tons of people tuned in. What Takari is saying is the way that her mother is portrayed on the show is that's not who she is. Now, I'm sure, when we watch these reality shows, we're not seeing who any of these people really are. Okay. She's saying that the storylines are total fabrications and they are total lies. She states that, which we know that, she lived with her grandmother, spent a lot of time with her grandmother as Jackie's first child. She was the only one with her grandmother. She talks about living with her grandmother, basically her grandmother raising her. She's not seen her mother. Her mother would come around, but she did not spend a lot of time with her mother. She talked about everything she learned in terms of love. She learned it from her grandmother. Okay. She talked about her mother being a hustler. She talked about, Jackie pretty much coming from the streets and having to figure it out. And most importantly, what she talked about is Jackie wanting to have that glamorous life. And it's nothing wrong with that. So she said Jackie was a beautiful person. Like she said back in her days. And when I say back in her days, I'm not saying she's ugly now. As we get age, our looks change. And I'm not saying they change for the worse, but you age. So you don't look as young as you used to. That happens for everybody. And I believe everything she said. She said Jackie was fine as wine, honey. But she said Jackie only wanted the men with the money. I mean, I don't blame her. Who want the po folks, right? She said Jackie wanted the men with the money. She wasn't dealing with you if you didn't have the money. She said Jackie was a fighter. She says Jackie was a fighter. And she said, in fact, she actually had to fight. And I can definitely identify with that. Back in the days, if you look a certain way, sometimes people just want to pick with you. So she said Jackie was a fighter, and Jackie just was somebody that you just didn't want to mess with. Now, Takari goes into seeing her mother on Basketball Wives. She goes into, stating that people in, her family with regards to her mother and things like that. She said she felt like they were all, reaching whatever goals that they had. Takari goes into saying she wanted to write a book and that her mother said that she would help her. But then she learned that Jackie did not help her. And she said she had reached out to her mother, and her mother tried to say that she was trying to extort her, which Takari is saying she only reached out to her mother to say, hey, are you still going to help me? And so basically what Takari stated is that her mother wasn't a loving person. She was very verbally abusive. She said that her mother didn't like the way she looked. And she said it ultimately really hurt her self-esteem is pretty much what she said. She said she did not feel loved. She did not feel as if she was pretty. And the way that her mother treated her, and we'll get into it later on the live, it just made her feel bad. She talks about she talks about her sister receiving a Range Rover as her first car, which wasn't a problem, but she said they tried to keep it as a secret. They didn't want her to know. She said she received a Ford Focus. I mean, think about it, guys. You have children. Maybe she couldn't afford to get Takari a Range Rover, but the fact of the matter is they kept it a secret, and she kind of felt like, okay, you get what I'm saying? A Ford Focus and a Range Rover, that is not even close in price. So she talks about basically feeling like people didn't love her except for her grandmother. She talks about her grandmother a lot. She talks about the love that she received. She basically received it from her grandmother. She talks about her mama being which is Jackie, her mother being a hustler and basically having to get it out the mud and make life happen for herself. Now, this is a brief overview of the foreword. I didn't give you guys word for word for word for word. Now, the foreword is about, think it starts on, I don't know, maybe about 20 pages, because when I got the book, I noticed that there were a bunch of blank pages. And I know she said, Takari explained that when she did the book, she kind of rushed because she kind of wanted to get it out. But it's really good. I know, a lot of you guys in the comments had asked me if I had read it. And again, the good part of this is Takari and Jackie they are on a healing journey. But I wanted to really understand everything that I was hearing about Jackie and kind of wanted to make sense of it. But in this book, you learn exactly who Jackie is, and it actually fits. And I'm like, okay, I get it. So I don't want to jump too far ahead because I want to give the information to y'all in order. Now, in the book, she goes into exactly who Jackie was. I don't think she was malicious at all. She just was pretty much describing her life, which, I mean, is her right. Again, I mean, they are on a healing journey, but it was really important for me to understand this because makes me understand her sister and how she came at Takari sideways when she said, you're living in public assistance. So I'm trying to understand that. But one of the things that she did state is that Jackie wanted the life that she has today. And that's good because we should all get what we want out of life. So I take that as a plus. But what she said is Jackie came from struggle. Their whole entire family came from struggle. And Jackie got out here and got exactly what she wanted. She stated that Jackie definitely, even with her father, she talks about her father being a big baller, Lord, if y'all know what I mean, in the game. And then she talks about Jackie possibly being the one to set him up or get him arrested. And we'll go into that. But I just wanted to give a backstory because I did not, I didn't read the book, heard about it, but did not know. So this is very, very eye-opening to me, but it also goes into retrospect as far as, when Takari talks about not feeling love. It seems like the relationship that Jackie had with her first husband was extremely toxic. And I talked about this on a video. I don't remember, maybe yesterday when I did a live. What I noticed with some women is when they are in bad relationships, a lot of times the child will resemble something about the ex, or something about the ex, and sometimes they can take it out on that child. But Takari seemed to believe that she looked exactly like her father. She had her father's skin. She was an exact resemblance of her father, but then the relationship was very toxic. She goes into saying that Chantel was the perfect story for Jackie because now Jackie had the opportunity to marry a man that she had a child with and give her the happy ending, where it was Takari. It was just like a lost cause, like nothing happened except for they got married. But then Takari talked about how her dad had so many women and he was pretty much cheating on Jackie, which kind of goes into a lot of this, different aspects that we're learning about Jackie. That's probably why Jackie followed Doug all around, because she wanted to make sure that, I'm going to be right there. Which, I mean, hey, people have to do what it is that's going to make them happy. So a lot of interesting things to learn about this book. Also, if you guys watch Basketball Wives from the beginning, you know that Jackie talked about her mother. There's an interesting twist with regards to Jackie's mother, and how, she said that her mother was treated and where her mother actually wanted to live, opposed to actually where she lived. So it is so much in this book. And like I said, I'm giving you guys the forward, and then we're going to do a live. We'll talk about the forward, and then tomorrow we'll go into chapter 1, and I'll do the videos right before we actually do the actual live, so you guys can get an understanding. But I'm not going to just read the book to you. But like I said, when I do the live, I'll let the audio play is what I'll do. But very, very interesting. But what I can say about this entire thing is I totally believe Takari. I do not believe the sister. Again, when we go live this evening, I'm going to let it play where Takari says in her book that the relationship between her mother reminded her of a toxic relationship, as if she was in a relationship with a male. Is that not exactly what Chantel said? So Chantel is in fact a liar and a mean girl. Okay. She is in fact a mean girl. Now, the untold truth about Jackie's life is kind of a spinoff between, what Takari is saying is that Jackie did not come from a healthy family. And when I say a healthy family, I mean they were struggling, they were hustling. She had to do what she needed to do. But also, her mother was on drugs, which Jackie pretty much had to hustle and make it happen for herself. Not to give her an excuse, but you have to understand, when you come from a toxic environment, in order to not be toxic, you have to heal. Did Jackie ever heal? I have no idea. But like I said, y'all, we gonna get into it. What I'm giving y'all right now is the forward. Again, log, make sure y'all log in. or log on, watch the live later on, I'm going to actually let y'all hear the audio, okay? Because I like audio books, because what I do is I play it and I'm doing stuff around the house or whatever I got to do. And it, I like that better, because I'll do the audio and then I'll actually go back and read it, and it kind of sinks in my head more because I'm, reading it multiple times. So that is pretty much this is going to be part one. Like I said, y'all make sure y'all log in later and watch the live. I strictly got the book because people were telling me to get the book. I'm glad I got the book because I understand this a whole lot better. And I'll see y'all later.
She don't miss nothing, got the scoop on lock. Spilling all the tea, too hot. Lakeysha Keysha, queen of the plot. Hit that bell, cause the tea don't stop.